How's it going, you guys? I made a really crazy realization today. So basically, I've been taking Rhodiola for 15 days now, maybe a little bit more. And since I started taking Rhodiola, I recognize that I have been feeling a lot less motivated and a lot more like I need to, like, procrastination. And I would say borderline lethargic, but more so just lethargic towards anything other than mental studying. Like, I could lay down and I can study scientific research for long periods of time and be very focused on it. But I don't want to get the fuck up out of my bed. I don't want to get out of the house. I literally just want to read. And I've been forcing myself to go to martial arts in the morning, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. I've been forcing myself to get to the gym, and I find very little motivation to do these things and little enjoyment at all. And what's crazy is this whole time I thought it had to do with caffeine because I was lowering my caffeine intake. I did an experiment where I was switching from coffee and caffeine supplements to purely tea. And I thought that it was because of the less caffeine and this and that. Well, now it just hit me, shit, I've been taking Rhodiola this whole fucking time. And today, and this is what really drew the line, is today I tried 200 milligrams of a caffeine pill right beside my Rhodiola. Didn't feel jack shit, just felt calm and grounded, and like I just wanted to sit down and read. Then I said, fuck this, I'm gonna take more caffeine. So I went to the front desk at the UFC gym, and I had them give me a Celsius drink, which is about 200 milligrams of caffeine, and it contains other thermogenics. Usually just drinking that Celsius, even back when I drink a lot of caffeine on a regular basis, would pump me up and make me feel real motivated. But that's a total of 400 milligrams of caffeine, and I still felt like going home. And I remember I actually injured my hip back in December of 2018, actually November of 2018. And when I had injured my hip that day, I had taken a supplement that contained rhodiola in it, in small amounts though. And I remember feeling the same lethargy and like I didn't want to go to the gym. And that was when I injured my hip, because I couldn't get warm enough to prevent injury, basically. A long story, and then that was when I did the carnivore diet, and the pain went away, luckily, after a couple weeks. Long story short, though, it's become extremely clear to me that rhodiola definitely seems to have a just overly serotoninogenic effect. So I've had this issue with most herbs and supplements that increase serotonin. So significantly reducing anxiety is a big benefit. Feeling super like my mind, like mental acuity is there. Like my mental performance is high. It's so high that I've actually been thinking more existentially than I'd like to. And I believe that that has a lot to do with how much serotonin you have in your brain. And obviously, just if you normally have these thoughts on a regular basis as well. Some people just tend to be more inclined to thinking about, outside of reality than others, existentially. But I looked online and I found that there's a lot of other people who have had the same results from rhodiola. And even one experience from somebody who had existential anxiety. I wouldn't say I have existential anxiety, but I did when I first started thinking existentially. But just yesterday I was texting my friend Melissa about an existential crisis. Well, not an existential crisis, but about my thoughts of that I was thinking existentially. And I don't like to be dwelling in this kind of in this state of consciousness. Like, not to say that thinking existential thoughts are bad, but just this overall, everything that comes with this higher serotonin level. Because I don't feel what I like to feel is, I like to feel motivated, driven. I like to feel more, like the more testosterone, more inspiration, more drive. I like feeling masculine. And this makes me feel just too much in my head, basically. Too much in my head. And that's probably the perfect way to describe it is, I'm all for making videos. I can make videos endlessly right now. I could read endlessly, study endlessly, but damn, I need to get out of the house and take more action, like in the real world. And so I think that that's kind of what's been happening with me. And so it's been about 15, 16 days on Rhodiola, and right now, I literally took 400 milligrams of fucking caffeine and I can't feel it. Crazy, right? And so, first of all, what I've found is that Rhodiola works mostly through increasing beta endorphins, but also through increasing serotonin. Now, beta endorphins are great. They give you feelings of euphoria, and I'm all for that. And generally, when I have increased endorphins, I feel amazing. But the problem is the increase of serotonin increases feelings of lethargy and just making you feel too overly content, to the point of boredom at times, right? And so some of the common ideas behind all of this in the community, in the nootropics community, is number one, the dosage makes the poison. And so what they say is, if you take a smaller dose of Rhodiola, if you take a small enough dose, it can be mildly stimulating. If you take too much of a dose, it can put you to sleep. And there's people that literally say, even it makes them feel sleepy an hour after taking it. And then they chug coffee and they still want to pass out. Well, that's been my experience as well. Second thing is the amount of rosavins versus the other flavanol, polyphenol content, the other active ingredients in whatever extract you're taking. So there's two active ingredients that are generally standardized in Rhodiola. There's rosavins, and I forgot the name of the other one. And rosavins, from what I remember, is supposed to be increasing serotonin, and the other one, dopamine and beta endorphins. Some people claim that some of these compounds of Rhodiola can be MAOI inhibiting, but from the evidence that I've seen, that's not necessarily the case. And MAOI generally will, it has to do with how long do some of these neurotransmitters stay in the periphery. And so, but from what I found, it has only weak MAOI inhibiting properties. So, and I made videos about MAOI long ago when I was really immersed in that research and neurochemistry and whatnot, and neurotransmitters. But so the other thing is I found from other people's experiences that a lot of times it doesn't matter what ratio of these chemicals Rhodiola has in it, what type of extract they take, and it's more so the dose. And some people find that they feel tired and lethargic no matter what time of the day, what dose, and what type. So for me, I recognize that when I take 5-HTP, I feel similar, although I feel way worse if I take depends on what I do at 5-HTP, but I feel similar effects from 5-HTP. I feel similar effects from St. John's wort. And so I seem to have, so I know what serotonin does to me, and I know that this is definitely increasing similar neurotransmitters to these other herbs because I recognize the feeling. Although the effects are definitely different, the overall net output is the same. So, now I'm gonna have to redo this caffeine experiment all over, and I might try taking Rhodiola in the afternoon, or in the evening, and see what effects it might have. I actually remember, and by the way, I'm taking the Herbpharm. I believe it's a 8-to-1 concentrate, so it's not a standardized extract. Basically, 200 milligrams of this equals around 3,000 milligrams of whole herb. So it's a whole herb concentrate. So it's not standardized for these different active ingredients, and that might be a mistake. That might be an issue, right? And they don't make this capsule anymore. They don't make the same Herbpharm extract that I'm taking. They only make it in the tincture form, which I might try taking, and I might dose it really, really small in the morning. So I don't know what level of rosavins and active ingredients I'm getting in this capsule form. But I've taken the Now brand, I've taken all these other brands, and the effects are very similar. So, yeah. Even with 400 milligrams of caffeine, I still feel this effect. And I also feel slight feelings of derealization, where I can almost not feel my body at times. And if I allow these feelings to creep in, I'll get what people call de-association or derealization, where you feel like you're in a dream and you feel like you're not a part of this world. Like you're living in this world, but like you don't even recognize reality. Like it's hard to explain, but you could just look it up, derealization. And I had these feelings really bad after I came off of Seroquel, after taking it for over, for all of my childhood and all of my teen years. I came off of it, and then I had smoked marijuana and had a bad trip. And I think it all has to do with my history of taking Seroquel. I was prescribed it, right? Something like, it was 1,200 to 1,800 milligrams of Seroquel for all of my teen years, which is horrible, right? Anyway, and that has a lot to do with inhibiting serotonin receptors, and inhibiting more than that. So anyway, I believe that derealization has extreme ties to serotonin. So this experiment has taught me a shit ton about serotonin and a shit ton about derealization. But I'm not going to take it as much anymore. So leave your questions. I'm not sure, but leave your questions and comments down below, and I'll talk to y'all next video.